Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for ACT's first TDM webinar of 2020. We're just going to allow folks to get on the line here for the next minute or so, and then we'll get started. Thank you. Once again, if you're just joining us, welcome to this afternoon's ACT TDM webinar, Driving Traffic to Your Webpage and Social Channels. We're going to go ahead and get started in just about another minute, so hang tight. Thank you. Okay, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Casey Murphy and I'm ACT's Director of Programs and Events. I want to thank you for joining us today for our first TDM webinar of 2020 entitled Driving Traffic to Your Webpage and Social Channels. Before we hear from our presenters this afternoon, I wanted to quickly take care of a few housekeeping items. First, all attendees this afternoon are on mute during this webinar. If you have a question or have a problem hearing us, please type it in the chat or Q&A box located in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. I will do my best to answer your questions as the webinar gets going. We will have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. We leave it for the last 10 minutes or so, but please feel free to type in your questions as we go. When doing so, please also identify who the question is for when typing in those questions. Finally, this session is being recorded and I will have the recording up on the ACT website within 24 hours after the presentation ends. Now I'd like to go ahead and introduce David Strauss, ACT Executive Director, to give an update on what ACT has going on as we enter 2020. David?
Thank you, Casey, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank all of you that have joined us for today's webinar as well. We've got another great crowd on the phone today with, I believe we had well over 300 registrants, and folks will be calling in and connecting over the next minute or two. As the premier association for TDM professionals, our goal is to build a strong community of individuals and organizations working to advance and implement TDM at their work sites and within your communities, and ACT as your organization for the latest information and best practices in TDM. For those of you that are members, thank you for your support. Your membership comes with many valuable benefits that help you become a more impactful TDM professional. From member pricing for events, special communications on TDM policy, and access to a network of over 1,100 TDM professionals. With the recent adoption of our 5-year strategic plan, we have some exciting new programs and services that we'll begin to introduce this year, including the first certification for TDM professionals and a new online member engagement platform. If you're not yet a member, I invite you to join your colleagues and become a part of our community. ACT membership is a fabulous investment in your professional development in 2020. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to update everyone on some of the happenings at ACT. I want to quickly remind you about our recent legislative victory, repealing the inclusion of transportation fringe benefits in the calculation of unrelated business income tax, a great achievement that will benefit commuters at universities, hospitals, and other exempt organizations across the country. And thank everyone who participated in our outreach activities, who have contacted their members of Congress to voice their support of this repeal. In less than 2 weeks, we'll also be gathering our third Impact Leadership class in Orlando for 3 days of leadership development. We've got a great group of young professionals joining us, representing a bright future for TDM. And soon we'll be opening registration for our Emerging Mobility Summit in Pittsburgh, April 28th to 29th. This immersive event encourages all attendees to join in on the conversations taking place. We have an open call for discussion tables that I believe closes next week. So if you are interested, please take a moment to visit our website and learn more. ACT's International Conference will be in Denver, August 2nd to 5th. We've recently closed our call for submissions and we'll soon be opening up registration along with our awards nominations program that is delivered at the International Conference. And I look forward to seeing all of you in Denver. And lastly, our TDM Forum is scheduled for November 11th to 12th in Atlanta, which is timely with today's webinar. It's now my pleasure to introduce our monthly webinar on another great topic, driving traffic to your webpage and social channels. In today's webinar, Georgia Commute Options will highlight and share their approach to social media, collaboration with local TDM partners, and specific results from 2 recent promotions, Biketober and Telework Week. The presentations will include information on successfully leveraging social channels to help derive stronger engagement with owned, earned, and paid social content that reaches both commuter and employer audiences. Now, my pleasure to introduce all of our speakers. First is Joel Wascher, Senior Marketing and Communications Analyst with Georgia Commute Options. For Georgia Commute Options at the Atlanta Regional Commission's Mobility Services Group, where he manages marketing efforts for the Commute Options program. Prior to joining ARC, Joel spent nearly 10 years as the Communications Director for Gwinnett Village Community Improvement District, utilizing his background in PR to help share the vision, goals, and successes of a community that had suffered the effects of years of underinvestment. Joel was a member of the 2017 class of the Regional Leadership Institute, a member of the region's Millennial Advisory Panel, and helped form a transit advocacy organization called Advance Atlanta. When Joel is not talking transportation, you probably find him on a sideline cheering on one of his 3 children or his other favorite team, Atlanta United. We'll also be joined by Ayanna Otite, who is Vice President, Director in the Brand Solutions Practice of Burson, Cohn, and Wolfe at their Atlanta office. She has spent the past 10 years raising visibility and creating affinity for some of the world's leading brands, as well as leading behavior change campaigns for various nonprofit organizations. Her experience is largely focused on integrated communications, creating robust campaigns that engage audiences in an impactful way. She is a Georgia native and proud alumna of Georgia Southern University, where she earned her degree in public relations. And she says, "Go Eagles." And lastly, we have Jill Goldberg. Jill serves as the Marketing Director of Georgia Commute Options, which encompasses the overall responsibility and management for all public-facing engagement, communications, and marketing activities related to changing commuter behavior in the 20-county metro Atlanta region. With experience in everything communications, from writing to marketing, event planning, and media relations to public outreach, working in government has allowed her to be a jack of all trades, or in this case, a Jill of all trades. It's my pleasure to welcome Jill Goldberg to kick off the webinar.
Thank you, David, and thank you all for joining us today and allowing us the opportunity to share some of our experience and practices with driving traffic to our webpage and social channels. Engaging with the community is one of the most important things that a consumer-facing organization does. At Georgia Commute Options, our goals are the same as most of yours: to reduce single-occupant vehicles on the roads and to encourage commuters to try other methods for travel, including transit, biking, walking, carpooling, teleworking, and more. Hopefully, all of these efforts and programs will have the collective results of improving mobility, air quality, and health and stress levels. I'm going to give you a brief overview of GCO and how we started this journey when we rolled out a new marketing campaign in mid-2018. Ayanna and Joel will be diving deeper down into some specifics and share some of our methods and results with you. We're all aware that the way the world communicates has been changing and is going to continue to change. Everything must be instant gratification and grasped with the very short attention spans that your audience will give you if you want them to take notice. Gone are the days of casting a wide net with long articles and videos explaining who you are or what you do. Let's face it, nobody has the patience for that anymore. So to be effective with your marketing and communications efforts, you must give the consumer what they want: quick and easily digestible information. Make it funny or amusing, and you're golden. We began by finding the right audience to speak to. In order to successfully drive change in our region, we had to determine our primary targets. Our social channels had little engagement and followers, and we lacked a consistent voice and look. Our website was outdated and difficult for users to navigate. We were basically starting at ground zero about a year and a half ago. We knew we wanted to target specific groups to get the most bang for our work, but which ones? Through a variety of research tools, including the use of focus groups, surveys, peer and partner discussions, and anecdotal information that we learned along the way, we settled on our primary audiences of commuters, employers, and schools. We went further with our research and determined more important factors within those demographics, such as the age range that would be best, areas where they worked, income, and more. Commuters includes those already taking clean commutes and those driving alone. Employers were broken into tiers of levels with us and our partners working with based on their size, participation, and growth opportunity. And finally, schools, where we could message on various things, including the air quality issues from long carpool lines, the health aspects of walking to school, and the safety benefits of riding a bus. As I mentioned earlier, we were basically a quiet brand when we started this journey. We had to change that. So we began messaging regularly, setting a schedule, creating a content calendar of social posts and blogs on our webpage. We began to focus social messages and website postings on our modal promotions as a means to create excitement and awareness. Using real people, real pictures, and real information quickly became the go-to way for us. We found out that our engagement went way up when our audience actually recognized the location in our photos instead of a stock photo. People also like to learn about real folks and hear their stories and how their commute is and what they experience daily. Our website redesign took a lot of effort to get the clean and updated look we wanted, and that we felt would have the desired impact on our users. Today, we have a cohesive look across our media, our webpage, our social, our mobile app, and our paid media. People are able to recognize Georgia Commute options. I want to address the fact that we are able to incorporate paid media into our overall program. We have the ability to do some radio ads, billboards, digital marketing, and sometimes even broadcast. These additional items have helped build our brand recognition and gain followers on our social media. Additionally, we do a variety of community and partner events along with our modal promotions to maintain a steady flow of opportunities to engage with our audience and present new information. A few examples are listed here, and basically we're involved in at least one event every month, some months several events. Here's a look at a bit of our web landing page for our new trip planning and logging software that we started January 1st this year. So far, we're just thrilled with what's happening to it, and we're getting a lot of new users on there. Here's the mobile app that goes with it. We're very excited about the opportunity with this new platform. It's going to provide us with a great way to keep our commuters engaged. We opted for a system that gives points and incentives to keep people coming back to log because they get rewarded for giving us this information. Using the gamification aspect is hopefully going to keep us engaged with our users and help us grow that base and knowledge that we can gain from knowing what they do routinely. Now, Ayanna is going to share some social media specifics to help you see how we develop material.
Good afternoon. My name is Ayanna Otite, and I'm a vice president with Burson, Cohn, and Wolfe. I've been working with Georgia Commute Options since 2018, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the evolution of GCO's social strategy and how we've helped to develop the program's social identity over the years. I'll start with where we were. Overall, GCO's channels, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, had low engagement and smaller followings. At the outset, we conducted an audit of the social channels, and what we found was Facebook had the largest following, but engagement was generally low. We also found that while we were posting program information frequently, there wasn't a clear strategy to specifically target our audiences. There were brand guidelines, but we weren't applying them to our social content, so we didn't really have a clear brand identity on social. So we work with the team to create a social strategy with the intent to deepen engagement with our existing audience and followers, build a larger audience of commuters not yet engaged with our program, and educate commuters about our programs and clean commute incentives. The challenge is that our audiences often overlapped on each channel. So to speak to several audiences at once, we determined a content mix that would work for everyone, but continuously offer new and interesting information and resources. Every month, we build our content calendars to align with the content mix outlined here to ensure we have the right balance across channels. We also realized there was an opportunity to optimize timing and frequency of posts per channel based on the engagement patterns that we saw during our social audit. So here's a glimpse of how we have broken out our channels to reach our audience through the right channels. So in order to reach them, we needed to target the right social platform and serve content that would spark engagement and conversation. We knew that we needed to establish a brand voice and tone that was appropriate for each channel. So for Facebook, it's the multitasker channel. It allows us to engage with commuters, employers, and our local partners. Because this platform allows for more flexibility than other channels, you can post videos, polls, photos. It just allows for more personality. Also, Facebook prioritizes conversation sparking posts and interactions among family and friends versus content from branded pages. So to combat with that, we adopted a more conversational voice in our content and ads to encourage tagging and sharing over click to learn more call to actions. Twitter is our information hub. Twitter allows us to share important, concise information throughout the day that directs people to our website through deep links and pages that direct them to the resources and information that is valuable to them. We do it in a way that is cheeky and fun, and we're known throughout Metro Atlanta to share photos, GIFs of Beyonce perhaps, and hashtags that just help our content stand out in the ever-changing mobile feed. Instagram is our inspirational channel. So it's very visual, and our images and videos need to tell a story on their own without copy. So to combat this, we eliminated stock photography and built a unique library of Metro Atlanta images that had mobile feed stopping power. LinkedIn is new to GCO, fairly new. Created in 2017, this is our employer solution channel. It enables us to reach business leaders and HR professionals so that we can have targeted content about improving the workplace. We share info on the resources and tools available to them, as well as general content about the benefits of clean commutes and teleworking. The majority of our content on LinkedIn is organic. However, we've also leveraged it to promote our employer-focused modal promotions with much success. Speaking of modal promotions, they are our highest performing social content across channels. During modal promotions, our engagements tripled across channels compared to months where there were none. We attribute this to many factors, mainly the cross-promotion of our efforts through TMAs and our partners, as well as paid social amplification. So where are we now? Since implementing our new strategy in 2017, we've seen growth in our number of followers and engagements across our channels. Our initial goal was to increase overall engagement across our channels by 15%, and year over year, we have surpassed that goal. In 2018, we relied heavily on paid social to increase our visibility and reach, And we were successful, but with budgets varying year to year, we knew that would not be enough to sustain our growth. So last year, we decided to shift our focus to increasing our organic social engagement through community building. And while our number of engagements decreased in 2019, we actually saw an increase in quality program interaction. Our likes declined, but we saw an upswing in program signups, click-throughs, and peer-to-peer sharing. We attribute this to social strategy and believe it enabled us to build not only a following on social, but a community of like-minded and engaged commuters. So here are a few takeaways and things that we've learned. Commuter stories perform really well on social because they provide authenticity to the program information we share. It also encourages organic peer-to-peer sharing. Local imagery can increase engagement because it just feels more personal and familiar to your audience. Do away with stock photography if you can. Paid support can help you reach new audiences, and it's best leveraged when there's a clear call to action or conversion moment. Conversation sparking posts drive engagement. Content can't always be focused on details about incentive programs. Mix it up with fun posts that generate conversation. And now I'll hand it off to Joel Wascher, Marketing Manager of Georgia Commute Options, to share more about our success across our channels.
Thanks, Ayanna. So I'm going to walk through a couple of specific promotions and talk through how we engage audiences in two of our mode of promotions that we do year over year, but specifically talking about the ones that we managed last year. So first off is probably our largest promotion, Biketober. It's a month-long annual bike challenge. We've administered this in Atlanta for 6 years, which I think makes it the longest running Love to Ride based bike challenge in the US. Many of you are probably familiar with Love to Ride, but for those who aren't, it's a platform for managing cycling promotions where it gamifies the challenge where people can join workplace or social teams. They get rewarded with points for every day that they ride, every mile that they ride, and for every person that they encourage to join. So we've used it for a number of years and have been extremely happy with it operating as the back end for our promotion. So when we sit down to start planning these modal promotions, we often start with kind of these 3 Ps: people, partnerships, and planning. So for the people, when we're designing our marketing materials, we want to make sure that commuters can see themselves in the challenge. And so this year, all of our marketing materials, we leverage the photos that are available to us because Love to Ride essentially has its own social network built into the platform where people can post photos of their rides and give high fives to other riders for encouragement. And so we have the ability to use those in our materials, and we did so for all of them this year. Our employer outreach team spent a ton of time recruiting relevant partners for and sourcing meaningful prizes that we leveraged in multiple ways throughout this promotion. Those prizes, we wanted to make sure, though, yes, they're meaningful, but they're also more than just prizes. There are people behind them, and so we want to make sure that we share those stories because it helps deepen that the ultimate story that we're trying to tell and build that community of cycling that we want people to be a part of. And then lastly, we develop our messaging and our communications plan. So we developed a digital toolkit that include social content, social graphics, sample intranet and newsletter posts, things that our employer partners can use to help deepen engagement within their own participating employees. So we focused our paid promotion on social for a number of reasons. One, it's obviously a web and app-based promotion, so focusing our marketing efforts in the digital realm makes sense, so it makes that conversion easy. There are lots of optimizations that help us stretch our marketing dollars, and then ultimately some really robust targeting capabilities that allow us to make sure that the dollars that we are spending are reaching people that are likely to participate. So we broke our promotion period into 3 waves, really. The initial being a pre-registration wave with the hook of if you register by September 30th, the day before the first day of the promotion, you're entered into a drawing for an e-bike. And we found that was one of the lessons learned. One of the benefits of using a platform like Love to Ride that operates challenges worldwide as we learned some lessons from other challenges that are done. And I believe it was Auckland that did a bike giveaway as kind of a pre-registration drive, and they saw a lot of success with it. So it was something we tried out this year as well. Then our second wave that launched kind of towards the end of September is a retargeting wave. So people who clicked through in that initial wave, but for whatever reason abandoned registration and didn't actually get it all the way over the hurdle, we wanted to make sure we served them with another round just to get them across the finish line and in the app or in the platform. And then lastly, we have another set of ads that run throughout October, and that messaging shifts a little bit more towards participation, as that's our next goal. Once we get people in there, we want people actually logging those rides. So we focus specifically on Facebook and Instagram as our main vehicles for marketing. One, Facebook has the largest market share, and so the largest pool of potential users for us to draw from. It's a B2C promotion, so it makes a lot of sense for us in reaching commuters there. And then, like I mentioned, those targeting capabilities and optimizations that are built into Facebook's Ad Center really made it attractive for us. So when we're building our targeting, we really built it from the inside out. We start with a base list of people who've participated in previous years. We're able to create a lookalike list then, which takes that original list, looks at the interests and demographic trends within that population, and then looks for people who share those. So the idea being, if you're like this person in this way, then you might be likely to participate in this promotion that they've also participated in. Then we start pulling in some additional targets based on relevant interests, and then geographic and demographic items. So for optimizations, one of the things that made it attractive is, as many of you probably know, Facebook owns Instagram, and so it's somewhat of a 2-for-1 deal. So we upload our targeting list within Facebook's Ad Center, we connect it with Instagram. So instead of uploading our full target list in Facebook, serving a set of ads to them there, uploading the same list in Instagram, serving ads to there, the two platforms essentially communicate with each other. So you can upload to Facebook, Instagram and Facebook look at that population and say, well, Joel scrolls through images on Instagram, but he doesn't engage with branded content a whole lot. On Facebook, he's much more likely to click and engage. So we're going to serve him most of his ads on Facebook. So it's a way for us to maximize the marketing dollars that we have allocated. And another great feature that they offer is you can actually set up multiple options within your ad set. You can do multiple images, multiple calls to action buttons. You can tweak the messaging a little bit, and then you can set that to optimize so that Facebook essentially tests different combinations of those things that you identify. And then as your campaign moves along, it learns which ones are performing better and starts serving the better performing posts more often. Here's a little look at one, the analytics from the registration site, but also layered on top is our different waves of ad sets that are running. So you can see that once we launched on the 5th and you start layering these on, the momentum really starts picking up and building towards the end of September, obviously because we're layering on additional touch points, but also because we're getting close to that registration deadline. So we have a lot of people interested in getting in for that reason as well. Another way of looking at, here's kind of a density map of registrations. You can see a lot of our early adopters are a little closer to the urban core, but by the end of the first week, we've really saturated our entire region, which is 20 counties. And that density stayed pretty consistent all the way through October. So you can see the majority of our promotion registration and growth happened really towards the first week of that promotion. And so back to those partnerships that our employer services team worked to build. We knew that there were some specific audiences that we wanted to reach, but we couldn't reach them on our own. So one of our partners, the Atlanta Bike Coalition, which is a bike advocacy organization here in Atlanta, has a really robust following and active group of followers. So we knew we wanted to engage them because they're likely to participate, but we couldn't pull them in our targeting alone. So we used an application called whitelist posting, which is available in Facebook's branded content tool. So essentially, we work with the Bike Coalition, we come up with content that they're comfortable posting. In the branded content tool, they post it and then list us as a promotion partner, and we're able to put paid support behind that. So there's a couple benefits there. We have the ability to reach that audience, that target-rich audience that we're not able to reach on our own. We're able to reach those followers and their friends. And then our message is delivered by a page those followers know and trust. So we benefit from some additional credibility and some additional engagement. For some of our other partners, they engage throughout the promotion by hosting local events. So for Biketober, many of them did. We had a series of bike-in movies. Some municipalities hosted organized rides with their mayors, a lot of different options. So it's valuable to us because it's a way for us to bring that promotion to potential participants and make it accessible. And so we work with them on promoting those local events because those things help bring it to life. I should mention, so when people register for the bike challenge, we serve them a baseline survey up front to help identify their baseline behavior, but also identify some of the barriers that they face when considering biking. And so we found that new and occasional riders have two major barriers, and that's confidence and knowledge of a safe route. So as we look at planning out our promotion, we wanted to make sure that we built out some tools to help address those barriers. So we built an event page into the platform to help address them by mapping out those events, layering it over our regional bike facilities. Some of those events included bike classes that we worked with that bike coalition to organize, so riders could get a refresher course on rules of the road or even take a group ride in city streets. And then they can use that map with the bike facilities to map out a safe route to any of the events in their area that they're interested in participating in. But the real power of this promotion is its ability to garner organic promotion or organic content from participating individuals. Events like the ones I mentioned help to feed the stream of content. They help to recruit those new riders. For us, we can target people based on interests and activity, but it's hard to reach those new riders because it's a non-interest, quote unquote. So we can incentivize that in-app, which we do. We offer prizes for new riders that join the promotion. We offer prizes for people that encourage them. But ultimately, seeing a friend posting about a ride with their family or friends and talking with pride about the change that they're making is much more powerful than any ad or incentive that we can serve them. And here are just a couple of those stories, and these are a little bit more in depth. On the left, there's a person who talks about after 5 years, they finally got up the nerve to try to put their bike on a bus rack. So that's important to us because obviously here's a person where the challenge may have helped them bridge that first or last mile. Maybe bike commuting doesn't work for them full time, but we've given them that experience that they could choose an alternate commute and that it wasn't quite as intimidating as they may have thought. And on the right, we've got actually one of ARC's own who post about she's lived in Atlanta for 25 years, has never biked to work, but this promotion gave her the little nudge to find out that it actually is as a lot more convenient than she thought it would be. So beyond individuals, the value of this from a B2B standpoint, we saw a lot of companies making this their own and owning the challenge. The fact that people can participate as social or workplace teams offers them the flexibility to really make the challenge their own and to build little competitions within the broader challenge. These third-party testimonials for us as marketers are gold. So what does it all add up to? We took 4,600 laps around what we here in Atlanta call the perimeter. So for us, that's a highway that encircles the city. Other places call it the Beltline, things like that. But we utilized something like that that made it fun and relatable, and we used it as a way to contextualize the impact of the challenge in our follow-up media relations. We found some success in that. But the real numbers behind it, we had almost 4,500 registrants, nearly 3,000 people who actually biked. And one of the big ones for us that I talked about earlier is those new riders, and that's we're able to get 500 new riders to participate in the challenge. All of those significant increases year over year. And back to those bikes and those meaningful prizes, who won them? So here you can see Ricardo and Tori both won those electric bikes. Those are the Edison bikes. And then Matthew here in the middle won our bike from Aztec Cycles. And he has a great quote here talking about how this bike is going to help him level up as a cyclist and make him go longer distances. But I think one of the great things about this picture in Matthew is the guy on the right in that picture. His name is Daniel, and he's actually our employer services rep for their area. So these prizes, yes, we want to use them to get people engaged, but oftentimes these things are also a way for us to get our foot in the door with companies and build these and strengthen relationships with these employers who participate. So maybe a lot of their employees cycling doesn't work for them, but being there and celebrating those who did is a way for us to start that conversation with the rest about other solutions that we offer. And ultimately, the importance is the lasting impact. So this isn't just about creating engagement and participation during the promotion period. Our post surveys show that there are lasting results for a significant portion of the participants. So we have 54% of new riders who indicate in our post surveys that they're riding more regularly now after the promotion, 26% now riding once a week, and 31% of occasional riders are riding more regularly as well. So these results are compounding, where we ladder up these users year over year and continue to build that population of occasional and regular riders. So Biketober is one of our biggest promotions. I wanted to share some specifics about another mode of promotion in Telework Week. It's a much smaller effort from manpower and budget perspective, but we wanted to talk about how the social promotion is scalable. And so depending on your budget and your capabilities in-house, you can find ways to implement the social promotion for whatever your needs are. So much like Biketober, we build our base of partners and our communications plan, secured a proclamation from the governor proclaiming November 18th through the 22nd as Georgia Telework Week. That helped add a little bit of credibility to our promotion. We effectively launched the week of our annual Telework Summit, where local industry leaders share best practices on their telework and flexwork programming. And again, we build partner materials to help them spread the word on our behalf. So this toolkit included sample social posts and graphics, as well as intranet, blog, newsletter content relating to the promotion. We also included helpful hints on setting up your remote working environment. So the main call to action for us was registering within our ride matching and trip planning platform and logging telework days the week of the promotion. So on Facebook, we focused on the commuter end and that registration. We focused on marketing on Twitter and LinkedIn as well, but Facebook and Twitter were our commuter focused on sign up and login. LinkedIn, we actually had two separate ad sets, one with a broader commuter target that again focused on the gift card giveaway, and an employer focused ad that was more about lead generation and building awareness for the free telework and flexwork consulting services we offer. So from the paid social results, you can see even with a much smaller scale promotion and incentive package, we're still able to generate meaningful traffic with almost 1,400 clicks, or people who actively engaged with the posts that we served them. And then we saw that activity also bump up on our commuter platform as well. The good thing about all these promotions, as I said before, is they're opportunities for us to build relationships with both our commuters and for our employers. For our employer outreach teams, these serve as critical touch points where they can bring them a ready-made team building or wellness challenge, and allows us to open dialogue where we can better understand their needs and what services we offer that may be of benefit to them.
Great, thank you, Joel. We hope that we were able to provide a solid overview of our social media efforts and our webpage and app today. A number of our 2020 goals are focused on continued growth of our social media channels and driving more of our users to our website and that mobile app. Thank you again for joining us. We're happy to take any questions you have, or you can also feel free to email us afterwards if you don't want to ask in front of everyone. We're happy to help with anything we can.
Oh, thank you, Jill, and thank you, all three of you. You did a wonderful job, and we actually do have some questions ready to go for you if you guys are okay with it. We seem we have some time here. First question, and if you can't answer some of these, maybe just lead people in the right direction, or help them get to kind of find the answer on their own. But what platform did you use for the trip tracking and incentives?
Our new mobile app, is that what you're asking about, or?
I believe it was early on, just your out for the website, your platform.
So we really have two separate, our main informational site is WordPress, but I think you're referring to our commuter platform,
Yes.
which is Agile Mile.
Agile Mile.
Is the
Okay.
back end of our commuter platform now.
Excellent. And then another question came here. Have you used geofencing to target your markets at all?
We haven't. We've actually talked about it, especially for Biketober. There are some bike facilities that are even more popular than others, and we've talked about implementing some geofencing around some of those assets and targeting people who are actually utilizing them. It's just not something that we've done to date.
Okay. And another question here, can you correlate the likes with engagement to participation in the transit program?
So I think the question's asking, one measure of engagement is to kind of look at likes and look at comments. But for us, that wasn't enough. We really wanted to build more of a community on Facebook and our social channels. So we want folks, tagging their friends to tell them about it, but also asking questions and kind of engaging with us at different ways. So we focus more on fun posts that can get them talking. And then for our modal promotions, we focus on, the call to action, which is sign up. So I know that Joel mentioned it in his overview, but the real focus here was to kind of target and then retarget, so that some of those folks, if they showed interest on the onset, we made sure that we went back to them and kind of pinged them again. So our engagement, we feel like it's kind of twofold. One is through the likes and the comments, but you can have likes and comments and not have someone truly engage with your program. So we try to take it a little bit deeper with our efforts.
Excellent.
Actually, if I can build on that,
Go right ahead.
Ayanna can correct me if I'm wrong, but Facebook's algorithm changes actually prioritize more reaction to posts. It's not necessarily enough just to get likes. Now it's more about shares and comments. And so you really have to work to build that true engagement with the content you're putting out, because it's easy for somebody to click like. So I think Facebook saw that it wasn't that big of a deal if people were getting a lot of likes on their posts. So they're prioritizing other pieces of engagement.
Okay, excellent. A few more questions here. This is really for any of the speakers. How many people are on your social teams, and do you have people assigned to specific sites, example, Twitter or person on Instagram? How do you separate things out?
No, we don't have specific people assigned to specific channels, or a person for every channel for that matter. So we try to divide and conquer. We have, a few people working on it, but in bits and pieces. So, it's kind of a group effort. It really is, to put that calendar together, to put all of the postings together, and to make them tie back to something that we're working on. Takes a little bit from each of us, but we don't have anyone just dedicated to social media or the ability to do that. That's awesome if you can, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this kind of ties into it. I think a few questions here are curious about the size of the staff and consult team that you work with to accomplish these activities. Can you give anyone some additional information on that?
yeah, so it was basically two of us, Joel and myself, and we hired Olivia about 6 months ago now, and she has been working an awful lot on social and also doing a great job taking photographs and writing blogs, doing everything. And then from our PR firm that helps us, there's really one or two that kind of work on it on the social a little bit here. We did have a third one that took some pictures and did some writing as well, but she left probably 6 or 7 months ago, and we haven't needed to replace for that. We've been able to take a lot of it on in-house, and so we're doing more and more of that growth in-house with it to make sure that we can maximize our presence out there.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and one of the ways to actually, if you have a small team and you want to do more posting on your social channels, is to really leverage one of those content management platforms like Sprout Social, or a tool like that where you can schedule your posts. So you don't actually have to be there to load them in the moment. You can kind of do it all at once and schedule when you want them to go out.
Excellent. Okay. A few questions around the timing and why you did both of those programs in different months. We had someone who asked, why did you choose October for Biketober? They said they get the name instead of, launching a similar program in May, which is Bike to Work Month. What made you decide October over May?
So I think one of the big factors, I mean, we walked into that, so we sort of inherited it, but I can tell you that in the Metro Atlanta region in May, it can be mighty uncomfortable to be biking out there. So in order to try to get more people involved with it, especially people that don't bike as a routine and to work, doing it in a month that has a more favorable weather situation in the metro area is, ideal. So you have a great name, Biketober. It's known very, very well around here. And it seems to work best for us to do that in the fall where it is not quite as humid and definitely not as hot on a daily basis. So we're able to get more participants from that and not having to worry about their condition when they would arrive at work or something. It takes some of those barriers away from having to do physical activity in the heat.
Absolutely. And then to kind of tag on to that, another question was asked, any specific reason why you picked those dates for Telework Week?
To be honest, I think Telework Week landed where originally where the team was capable of doing a promotion. So I mean, a lot of them are scheduled around weather. Like Jill said with Biketober, we also have a transit promotion, also similarly scheduled. We originally did it in the summer, but it was too hot, so moved those barriers. And then I think Telework Week really landed where we had bandwidth to develop it.
Great. Another question here for you. This one might be Jill or Joel here. Have you developed a marketing strategy for a new commuter benefit program? And how did you develop the target audience for these original ones?
I'm not sure I understand. What are they saying? A new commuter?
Yeah, have you thought about a new commuter benefit program? A marketing strategy for a new commuter benefit program?
Well, we've recently had some discussions with a few municipalities around the area with some programs that they are hoping to implement, and we want to be able to support them in those efforts and help them. But at the current time, we don't have any new programs coming up anytime soon. It does look like there may be one or two in the next year and a half that are going to want to be launched, and we want to be able to support and help all that we can with the network that we've built, our social obviously, and our reach that we have out there with it. We just haven't had one that's come up. We do believe that our new mobile app and platform for trip logging, Agile Mile, will be able to help us with any of those efforts moving forward as well, because it's very easy to get new commuters into that and to show them the benefits that they can get, and then also reward them outside of our normal rewards that the GCO program can offer by allowing them to get points and use those for discounts locally around in Georgia.
Okay, excellent.
For building a marketing targeting audience, we've done some panel survey work where we reach out to a representative group of commuters within the region and identify their existing commuter patterns and propensity for change. And so we use some of that data to help inform our marketing efforts and who are our likely new commuters and who are our likely adopters.
Okay, excellent. A couple questions were asked as well. Are you willing to share what the budgets were for advertising?
Sure. So, I mean, I think Biketober, we landed a little over 20,000. It's a 20 county promotion. So like I said, that's probably one of our, for a full month. So actually it's 2 months because we do our pre-registration push for all of September and then our logging push for all of October. So that's definitely our biggest. And then off the top of my head, I think telework week actually landed right around 5. So that's one reason we wanted to include those 2 different ones to show the scalability of some of it.
And I think on Biketober, it's important that we do also note that we put some of that budget was allocated directly to our partners to help promote things that they were doing for Biketober. So it wasn't all just spent specifically on GCO efforts there. We did share that around with our larger network to make sure that they got the best coverage and engagement for specific things they were doing during Biketober.
Okay, great. If you don't mind, we have a few more questions here. This next one, are you required to get signed affidavits or any other legal releases from those commuters you feature on your posts?
We do it. I don't know that we're required, but we do that. It's good. It's a best practice for sure. You definitely want to have that, especially photo releases. If you're ever photographing any children, that's a huge thing you should do there. You would not want to proceed with any photos of children without that for sure, like at school events or something. But we do it as a practice. Yes, it's definitely a best practice to get releases from anyone you're interviewing or going to feature, take their picture.
Okay, great. Another question here. Did you encounter and how did you overcome reluctance to download and adopt Agile Mile, Love to Ride, or the other online platforms?
I don't think we've had much resistance. I'll ask Joel if he knows anything more, but I mean, there's been minor things, but not a lot of resistance to having an app on your phone. I think the majority of people that are in our target market area, that age range and everything that we are really focusing a lot of our efforts on, are very used to having apps and things on their phone. I mean, that's a normal part of their day and their life. To them, they prefer that. So
I will say both Agile Mile and Love to Ride have web interfaces as well. So for those users who are reluctant to download an app, we definitely see a certain population who engages primarily on the web interface. So there's options for them as well. I mean, they lose some of the capabilities, and we try and communicate that because we want them to use the mobile apps, but there are some capabilities that are app specific. So, you know, the Love to Ride, the ride tracking, like the auto logging and stuff that can happen in the app obviously can't happen in a web interface. So there are some benefits to using those, but we certainly have options for those who don't.
Okay, excellent. We still got a few questions here. They keep coming in. We've got some time here. We got about 8 minutes or so here. This next one. Which type of posts received the most engagement on Twitter and Facebook? Were they the fun ones, the informational ones, etc.?
So it's always the fun ones, but we have tried to incorporate more fun into our incentive posts and our program posts. So now we can say that it's a mix. So just creating that voice and being the fun group has definitely gotten people to engage more with our content. But even our fun posts direct to, you know, our resources. So we can have fun and still point them in the right direction.
another thing about our fun posts that are really fun, they tend to get our partners engaged with it too. So that, you know, we'll get the Department of Transportation and we'll get MARTA. Everyone will be posting something similar to play off each other when we have a fun one. And so that just reaches more and more folks with our message.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think in addition to our fun posts, our commuter stories are really popular and engaging. I think that users like to see real people. They want to see the stories of how they've made a change in their life, and we want to normalize that commute behavior too. So it benefits us to share those stories of commuters that that other ones around the region can relate to, and share them as often as we can. They're not as easy to collect. I mean, it takes a lot of time and resources we've found to source the stories, but it's proven worth it.
But make them fun. We've even done a series with people's pets and what the commuting means to them, or how teleworking that day, how the pet did, you know, they wanted mom to be quiet. They're trying to sleep. She can't have another conference call, kind of thing. So just, you know, we try to make it fun, try to change it up, keep people coming back to see what we're doing.
Nice, nice. And there was another question kind of on that whole funny post idea here. Someone asked, did you get any pushback on some of these funny posts? And, you know, with all of that, how did you balance and transition to the style, considering you were kind of more informational at first?
There may have been some pushback once or twice, but we strive to show that there are good results from going outside the typical box. And I think by just providing that information to those that are concerned, showing that we had, you know, great feedback on it, that our partners got involved, that we were able to get a lot of engagement with it, they do see the benefit of that. So, you know, it's a fine line. We're not going to go crazy, but we want to be a little bit on the edge, try to engage with a younger, different audience on occasion, try to make people think that we are a consumer facing brand. So consumer brands need to do stuff that is out there and fun and in mainstream media. It's just, you have to go that way. So we're going to continue to do that. We are going to continue to try to be even more fun and more engaging, and we'll keep proving that it works.
Okay, great. Another question here. Do you work at all with the Georgia DOT and all these efforts?
Well, yes, this particular program is actually funded through GDOT. They are partners on it. We work with them all the time on everything. They're very involved with us. So we manage and run the program overall, but we work very closely with them, and we make sure that they are fully aware of what's going on.
Okay. Another question here for you, just a few more minutes. Sorry, we've got a lot of questions for you guys, which is a great thing. You touched upon, I think, just a few moments ago, and then I saw this question. How do you share those success stories that you get? You know, are commuters sharing personal videos that they're reposting, or are you out, you know, on the town getting them?
On occasion, we have had someone just to post a video about a great commute when the Northwest Corridor Express lanes was opened by Georgia DOT and CERTA. It generated a few posts from that. People just excited that they were able to get through quicker. But in general, we do go out and search for these stories. We will meet commuters either at an employer outreach event. They might bring us something back. We meet them at the festivals and various things we do. Sometimes we hear, you know, a friend of a friend did this, and we try to track it down and see if we can get them to commit to doing it. So it takes a little bit of everything. I think Joel mentioned that, you know, there's work involved with getting a commuter story. It's not, most people are not just handing you one and saying, oh, I'd love to do a piece for you. So you do have to put some effort into it, but you get those good results. People love to read about folks, and it just makes it more personal to them. And we've had a variety of stuff. Like I mentioned, we did the pets thing. We've had some people that are visually impaired on there. We've had all kinds. So we don't just do, you know, a normal regular commuter every time. We do different things. We do people that carpool. We do people that walk with someone else. We try to mix it up.
Excellent. Oh, that's wonderful. Just maybe a couple more here before we hit the top of the hour. One attendee here asked, how much is too much in terms of the number of daily touches with social media followers?
So what we realized is, you know, for a brand, it really depends on how much you have going on in that month, right? So you're not drilling the same message. And we try to keep our Facebook posts to 3 to 4 per week, so that we're not just hitting people over the head with program messages. Our content mix helps us with that. So we may share a program message on Monday, and then Wednesday or Thursday, we'll share some fun posts. With Twitter, we post a little bit more often just because that feed is ever changing and it's a really like quick grab. So to kind of stay in the fray daily, we do post more on that platform. But I would say across Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, we typically don't post more than 3 to 4 times a week. And on LinkedIn, I think it's 1 to 2 unless we have a promotion going on. So I would say, you know, as long as you have that content mixed and it's not just the same message over and over again, then you're fine.
Excellent. Okay. Because I've gotten this question asked a couple times here now, as you were talking about the DOT helping with funding, more specifically, what type of funds are used to support GCO? Is there others out there?
It's CMAQ funds.
Okay.
So federal funds that come to Georgia DOT, and they contract with us at the ARC to manage the program.
Okay.
It's a program that's been here in Georgia, I think 20 years or so. So it's not new, but it's recently come to the ARC for full management and taking on all of the activities from the employer outreach, the marketing and communication. So every aspect of it is now currently managed by the Atlanta Regional Commission.
Okay. Excellent. Last one here. A few people had asked, you know, how are the prizes for the points program funded, or are they donated?
Well, for Biketober, they were sourced. The employer outreach team worked to get those donated. So to Jill's earlier point about meeting commitments and with our partners, you know, we promised them a certain level of promotion in our social activities in order for them to donate those prizes. So Edison Bikes agreed to donate 2. Love to Ride, part of their contract is to source some prizes for the promotion.
Mm-hmm.
But for like the gift cards and telework week, those 5 gift cards, we paid for those.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, we have now hit the 3 o'clock hour. I want to thank all 3 of our panelists today. You did a wonderful job. We appreciate it. And I know there were still some more questions out there. If I did not get to your question, apologize. You know, feel free to reach out to us and I can put you in touch with our panelists today or contact them directly. And we certainly help get your questions answered if need be. And as I mentioned on the beginning of the call, we did record this. So within 24 hours, we will have the recording up on the ACT website for our members. Thank you all again for joining us for today's webinar. And we look forward to seeing you February 27th for our next ACT TDM webinar. Thank you all and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.